Mr. Speaker, I rise today to discuss this administration's massive cover-up of the Epstein files in order to conceal President Trump's involvement. This cover-up reached its apex last month when Attorney General Pam Bondi falsely testified under oath before the House Judiciary Committee. The Attorney General testified, quote, "There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that," unquote. This is a lie. In the 3 million or so documents that the DOJ has disclosed to Congress under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, there is credible evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime.
A member of Congress just stood on the House floor and said the Attorney General of the United States lied under oath. Not implied it, not suggested it, said it directly on the record in the chamber of the United States House of Representatives. Representative Dan Goldman, a former federal prosecutor from the Southern District of New York, who spent nearly a decade building cases involving organized crime and financial fraud, looked into the camera and told the American people that Pam Bondi testified falsely when she stated under oath that there is no evidence Donald Trump committed a crime. That is not a political attack. That is a legal assessment from a man who knows exactly what the word evidence means and exactly what it takes to establish it. And Goldman did not stop at the accusation. He brought the receipts, document by document, interview by interview, FBI presentation by FBI presentation. He laid out on the House floor exactly what the evidence shows and exactly why Bondi's sworn testimony cannot be reconciled with what is sitting in the Epstein files. Let me show you exactly what he put on the record.
Donald Trump is mentioned thousands of times in the Epstein files. There are multiple allegations that he sexually assaulted young girls. But I want to focus on one victim's allegations that the FBI unquestionably found to be credible. The DOJ tried to hide reports of 3 of the 4 interviews that this victim gave to the FBI, but pressure from the media and Congress forced them to disclose them. And now we know why. She credibly accuses Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was between 13 and 15. In each of her interviews, this victim recited the same account of her interaction with Donald Trump. On August 7th, 2019, she explained that she was between 13 and 15 when she was left alone with Donald Trump, who, quote, mentioned something to the effect of, "Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be." Trump unzipped his pants and put her head down, quote, down to his penis, bit the S out of it. Trump struck the victim and said words to the effect of, "Get this little B the hell out of here." The victim advised that she bit Trump's penis because he disgusted her. She provided some additional details in the next interview 2 weeks later, and then a month later, she met again with the FBI and asked, quote, what the point would be of providing the information at this point in her life when there was a strong possibility nothing could be done about it. She didn't speak to the FBI again. But the FBI certainly found her story credible. In a 21-page PowerPoint presentation that the FBI made to prosecutors, they included this victim's testimony. They would not have done so if they did not find the evidence credible, which means that Attorney General Bondi lied when she stated under oath that there is no evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime. But we're just scratching the surface, because the Epstein files also reveal that Donald Trump has made false statements over the past quarter century about Jeffrey Epstein.
Let us be precise about the legal significance of what Goldman just described. The FBI does not include testimony in a formal presentation to prosecutors because it sounds interesting. The FBI includes testimony in a 21-page PowerPoint presentation to prosecutors because the agents who conducted the interviews assessed that testimony as credible. That is the standard. That is how the process works. And that standard was met here by the FBI's own assessment, documented in their own materials, sitting in the files that the Department of Justice controls right now. That is evidence. Under any legal definition of the word, which means when Pam Bondi sat before the House Judiciary Committee and stated under oath there is no evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime, everyone knows that she made a statement that is directly contradicted by an FBI assessment that her own department possesses. Goldman is not making an accusation based on rumor or political motivation. He is describing what the FBI found, how they documented it, and why the Attorney General's sworn testimony cannot be squared with that documentation. The Department of Justice tried to hide 3 of the 4 FBI interview reports from this victim. It took pressure from the media and from Congress to force their disclosure. The question Goldman is raising, and the question that has no clean answer, is what is still being hidden in the nearly 3 million pages the Department of Justice is refusing to turn over.
We know in 2002 he called him a terrific guy and said, quote, "It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." In a birthday card, 2003, that Donald Trump gave to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday, Donald wrote for himself that we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Enigmas never aged. Have you noticed that? A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. But in that same year, Palm Beach County opened an investigation into Epstein that eventually was turned over to the FBI. The investigation became public in 2006, and the Palm Beach County police chief received a call quickly after from Donald Trump, where Trump told him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." What innocent person calls the police chief about an investigation upon just learning about it? The recent documents also show that Jeffrey Epstein emailed Ghislaine Maxwell and said, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Redacted victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." Trump also denied that he ever went on Epstein's plane. But of course, the Southern District of New York said that he was on his plane 8 times, often with young women. The reason why this matters is because we don't have half of the Epstein files. And if the Attorney General is covering this up in such a degree that she is redacting things from Congress, that she then, redacting things from the public that she then shows to Congress, what else is she covering up? And I would just show that this document here was redacted to the public, it was unredacted to Congress, and it completely disputes everything that Donald Trump has said about Jeffrey Epstein, about what he knew about the allegations, about his disgusting behavior, about whether he'd ever been to Jeffrey Epstein's house, saying, "I may have been there with my wife." Asked if any young girls were there. No. He may have had children of guests, but that's it. Well, we know that's not the case. Now, why is this important? Because if the Attorney General is covering up this information that she then reveals to Congress, what else is she covering up about Donald Trump's involvement in the Epstein files?
That sequence of statements spans 25 years, and every single one of them matters. In 2002, Trump called Epstein a terrific guy who likes beautiful women on the younger side. In 2003, he sent a birthday card referring to wonderful secrets they share. In 2006, when the Palm Beach County investigation became public, he called the police chief and said everyone has known he has been doing this. Think about that last one carefully. An innocent man does not call the police chief the moment an investigation becomes public to say everyone has known. An innocent man does not have advance knowledge of what everyone has known. That phone call is now in the congressional record. Goldman put it there. Then there is the Epstein email to Maxwell, written by Epstein himself, noting that the dog that has not barked is Trump, that a redacted victim spent hours at his house with Trump, that Trump has never once been mentioned. That email was written by the man at the center of the investigation. It was found in the files. And it describes a deliberate pattern of protection, someone whose name has been kept out of the conversation despite direct involvement. Then the Southern District of New York. Trump was on Epstein's plane 8 times, often with young women. Trump publicly denied ever going on Epstein's plane. The Southern District of New York's own records say otherwise. And then Goldman held up the document, the one redacted to the public, the one unredacted to Congress, the one that completely disputes everything Trump has said about Epstein, about what he knew, about whether he had been to Epstein's house, about his knowledge of the allegations. That document exists. It is in the files. The Department of Justice showed it to Congress and hid it from the American people. Goldman asked the question that every American deserves an answer to. If the Attorney General is covering up information that she then reveals to Congress, what else is she covering up about Donald Trump's involvement in the Epstein files? That question is now in the congressional record. without an answer. And the nearly 3 million pages the Department of Justice is still refusing to release are the only place that answer can be found. Bondi testified there is no evidence. The FBI found the evidence credible enough to present to prosecutors. Goldman just read it aloud on the House floor. 0 Epstein co-conspirators indicted, nearly 3 million pages still withheld. And a sworn statement from the Attorney General of the United States that a former federal prosecutor just called a lie on the floor of Congress. Subscribe, because what is still hidden in those 3 million pages is the next chapter, and it is coming.